One of the immutable laws of nature is that if there's a rotten tree on the neighbor's property, it is always going to fall onto your property and take out the fence. That's just what's going to happen. That's what happened here. Nice big old rotten tree. Of course it fell onto my property and I got to deal with it now. So we'll try to skid it out with this thing here. Now you might be really observant and notice that I already have a grapple on this tractor. So why in the world would I be using a set of skidding tongs to yank this tree out of here? And the answer is basically I got these tongs for free and I figured, hey, let's compare a $5,000 grapple setup to a $200 set of tongs and see if I wasted my money on the grapple and could have just spent $2 on some tongs and been just as happy. So anyway, let's yank this tree out of here and then we'll figure it out. Today's episode of the Homestead Bandwagon is brought to you by our sponsor, Bad Life Choices. I've made a lot of bad life choices and I really recommend them. If you're digging yourself a hole, just keep on digging yourself deeper because you'll come out the other side eventually. Maybe. You probably won't. This grapple is one of my favorite tools ever for our tractor, but they come at a price. A grapple setup like this with the hydraulics you need to run it could cost you $4,000 or $5,000. Is it worth spending that money, or could you spend way less money and just use something like this $200 set of log tongs? Okay, so what are we dealing with here? This is a set of log tongs or skidding tongs from a company called Garvee. Garvee's one of those, yeah, we've got that Chinese companies. They make everything from like, well, I don't know if they make them, but they sell everything from ice cream makers to like patio sets to probably kitchen sinks and power tools and agricultural equipment and stuff like this. So it's one of those places where you can just kind of get anything anywhere and they're really cheap. I'll put a link to this thing in the description. Feel free to check it out. So how do these things work? Pretty straightforward. You lash these things to whatever that ideally lifts them, and they got a scissoring action that makes them clamp down on the thing you're grabbing. So pretty simple, just using mechanics, I guess, and physics to lift stuff. They got little handles on them, so not too bad of a setup. These ones overall seem like they're made of pretty decent thick metal. It'd be nice to have a little swivel on them, but there's reasons it doesn't, and we can talk about that. The one thing about these tongs is that every time you want to grab a log or something, you do got to get off your fat butt and kind of get them in the general area of being attached to whatever you're skidding or picking up. Whereas a grapple, you can just sit on your seat all day and do it. So I would say that the log tongs actually save you even more money because you're not going to have to go out and get a gym membership. You can just get all your exercise doing log tongs. Now I got to flip around how this thing's chained on here because I don't have a swivel on here. Oh, look out. There we go. Now what is kind of cool about this log tong idea is that if you don't have a tractor and you got like a quad or a truck or whatever, you can lash these tongs to just about anything and yank it around. So something to think about. I chained this really bad. Whatever, let's just do it. I think I bit off more than I can chew with this log here. Yanking it out was fine with the tongs. Well, yeah, there ain't no fence left in there. That's fine. Who needs fences? It's not like the neighbors have cows or something that'll come over and eat our whole garden. Now, one thing that's kind of nice about the Grapple, of course, is the convenience. You don't have to get it on and off your tractor to use it. But if you're just doing the occasional deadfall removal, log tongs aren't too bad of a choice. The log tongs, you will notice, will swivel because they're not set in place like a grapple is. So the skidding tongs, that log can kind of rotate on you, and it's something to keep in mind. You'll probably find yourself needing to cut down logs a little shorter. Don't bite off more than you can chew like I'm prone to do. And really watch them, because if they swing and hit your tires or your grill or your hood or you, that could be a problem. In addition, you're going to find yourself needing to lift a bit taller, because the tongs themselves, are at least a couple feet long that they're adding to the bottom of your loader frame. So you've got to be able to lift a little taller to keep those things off the ground and keep the logs off the ground. So if you've got a tiny little tractor with a lower lift height, you might not be able to effectively use them to lift logs completely off the ground. You might just be lifting one end and then skidding them wherever you're going. It is something to keep in mind. Whereas a grapple, you can hold your log pretty darn low to the ground and control it very easily, and in theory, lift up longer pieces of log because you're not worried about them swinging on you. I think sometimes it can get really overwhelming how expensive everything is when you're maintaining a property. And I get stuck in this loop where I always just want to buy the most expensive thing once, right? Just buy once, cry once. Sometimes you got to walk before you run. Maybe it's okay just to buy the inexpensive thing to just get your jobs done so the property doesn't get away from you, and then start investing in the things that you use often. So I think it would be disingenuous at best to suggest that these log tongs or skidding tongs could somehow replace a grapple or are better than a grapple. Let's get real here. The grapple's better. But these also cost more than 10 times less, like 20 times less. There's a cost advantage here that you really can't ignore. So, if you're the kind of person who just every now and then needs to move a deadfall or something, this is a wonderful tool that'll work great. Doing other things that I do with grapples, like moving big brush piles, this is not a very good tool for. It's pretty miserable, in fact, trying to move pretty large brush piles with this, because you're only going to pick up a couple sticks at a time at most. Same thing kind of goes for groups of logs. A log grapple or root grapple can kind of grab multiple logs and move them. These guys, you're going to be one at a time with them, maybe two at a time if you get lucky. But I do see some advantages here in storage. These things you could just throw in your barn, whereas a grapple, you got to kind of have a place to store it because it's not always on the tractor. And if you had the bucket or your forks on the front of your tractor and wanted to have these with you just in case, it wouldn't be impossible to throw these, let's say, on the back of your brush cutter or the back of your box blade, or somehow lash them to the loader and carry them with you just in case you need them to pull out a deadfall or something. And that's where I think these things really come in handy, is for simple deadfall removal and occasional maybe firewood moving. I could see that being done. For stacking firewood, probably not the most convenient thing, but for lifting a log up to chop it into firewood, certainly is a good option to go with. So you don't always have to go big. We could save some money and use it for something else and buy these and do a lot of the jobs that we need to do around here. One thing I can say is, sometimes you just gotta... So I guess I'd say dance with who brung ya. If you're not rolling in dough, don't be ashamed to buy something like this and use it to get your jobs done, because that's what we're trying to do, is just get things done around here. You will still use these years down the line, just like you would a grapple. So it's worth investing in something like this if you just occasionally need to move a log or maybe some other oddly shaped object. As long as the jaws fit around it and they can grip down, you can lift and move that thing for sure. So, something to consider. Again, I'll have a link to these in the description. We'll see you guys later.